Okay, let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, I'm Lion.
Hi, I am Kaidantonio.
Okay, hello. Welcome to our Ghost in the Shell podcast.
Hello.
This is basically where we just sit and are nerds and we talk about Ghost in the Shell in varying episodes with different topics.
We're just fans of Ghost in the Shell. We are not experts, no matter how much knowledge we claim to have. I can't say for sure that I'm an expert because I'm still rewatching Standalone Complex, whether from my own collection or from the Japanese broadcast on YouTube every weekend.
I really don't think, being a fan and then being an expert, I don't think it should be like that. I think just, a fandom is just that, a fandom. We're not doing this for any other reason than just to be nerds.
For the longest time, I've wanted to do something with Ghost in the Shell, just to contribute to the fandom in some way, and I think this is a very accessible way of doing it.
With the new anime coming next year, I thought it was a good idea to just sit here and reminisce about the show's, 30? Is it 30th anniversary?
Well, not the show, the franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
Started in the late 80s, so it would have its 30th anniversary. Actually, no, longer than that. The film, the 1995 film that is, premiered in 1995, so it would be about 30 years from now. Yes, so it's the movie's 30th anniversary, and for the franchise, it's a bit older than that. I think it might be, 37, 38?
Yeah, probably about that.
It's been a long time. Not since the Nemuro landing operation.
So we wanted to start with, obviously, the first film, the 1995 Ghost in the Shell film by Mamoru Oshii. We really want to not use the word film because there was a live action. I don't know, we might talk about it in here.
Well, in due time we'll talk about it because, to be frank, I still haven't watched it in its entirety.
If you go on Reddit, and even in, the Discord channels, some people are divided about it. They're like, it was really, really bad, or it was really, really good, or in between, Again, that's just kind of up to personal opinion. But today we're going to focus on talking about what started it all, the 1995 film Ghost in the Shell.
Sorry, if you want to get really technical, we have to start by talking about the manga.
Yeah. So, for those that are just listening to this and have no idea what Ghost in the Shell is, it's kind of like a cyberpunk-ish franchise. It started with the original manga, where the films and the anime were adapted from that manga, but not 100% faithfully. There are certain things in the manga that were referenced in the movies and in the anime, but there are a lot of things in the manga that did not make it into either the movies or the TV series. So, in other words, they're both their own continuity. So, manga has its own continuity, movies have its own continuity, and then the anime series, both Standalone Complex and Arise, have their own continuity.
It's all true, but you shouldn't let it be confusing, no matter how confusing it does sound, because, frankly, I think Ghost in the Shell is a really beginner-friendly franchise when it comes to getting into it. You can just start from any point, and each point is as valid as the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is so many posts in the Ghost in the Shell Reddit are what order should I watch Ghost in the Shell in? There really isn't any order. That's the great thing about it, is you could start with Standalone Complex, and then after you finish it, if you're still craving more, you could go to the movies and watch both the movies, and just, they're separate from the other. So if you really can't get enough of Motoko Kusanagi, you can watch her in both the movies and the anime and Arise, and then Arise had its own movie, Standalone Complex had its own movie. So you can start basically anywhere. There really is no order. So I agree that it is beginner friendly.
Well, personally, I prefer following a franchise chronologically, but even if it's too much, a person can just choose whatever they feel like,
Yeah.
whatever's up to their taste. If the manga is too goofy or explicit for them, they can move on to the film. If the film is too morose and mind-bending for them, they can go on to the TV show, which is a good balance of both.
I mean, me personally, I didn't start with the 1995 movie. I started with Standalone Complex. And it was after Standalone Complex that I was like, wait, there's more? I did find it overwhelming and confusing at first, because I was like, but where do I was I supposed to start with the movie? Speaking of which, I don't know if we'll get through all of the movie in this episode. We're going to try.
I propose we focus on whatever we can in this episode, because the movie has so much to unpack.
Yeah, that's
so many layers.
That's the other issue with starting a podcast about a show that's as detailed as this. Like, not even a whole movie. You could talk forever about a certain couple of scenes, or what you think the whole movie's message was, or whatever. You could go on forever. So, we kind of just want to just keep it to our own personal opinions and just be nerds and try not to have a bajillion episodes on one topic. So anyway, let's dive into the 1995 movie.
We're the ones who get our hands dirty.
It's time now. Let's move to the rendezvous point.
Now, regarding what to talk about with the 1995 film, I was coming up with some notes, trying to decide what to start with, and I came up with the statement, Ghost in the Shell 1995 is more of a character study, in which the Major is trying to prove her own humanity to herself. Now, that's just one aspect of the film, one aspect of the narrative, and I'm pretty sure I took that discussion idea from somewhere on Reddit.
Oh, probably. I mean, the thing is, like in the movie Shrek, when he talks about, like, ogres have layers. Onions have layers.
Oh, yes.
I think Ghost in the Shell is very much a very good example of that, of where it just has multiple layers. There are tons of posts on Reddit where people are trying to, like, figure out, like, what this movie means. Like, they want the whole message. And I think that's kind of the point, is you don't really get the whole message. Like, going on a little off topic here, Mamoru Oshii wrote and directed Tenshi no Tamago, An Angel's Egg. It was before he made Ghost in the Shell.
That's a bit of a relevant topic because I think it's having its 4K restoration, or it had its 4K restoration recently.
But the point I'm making is that so many people could not figure out what the point of the movie was. And so they were like, I didn't really like it because I didn't really get it. And then he goes on to make Ghost in the Shell, and it's the same thing where people are like, it's so good, but I don't get it.
What's not to get, I'm asking? Because when it comes to something like Angel's Egg, for example, I think it's one of those movies where you just have to rely on your feelings and your intuition. And if those are not developed enough, then of course you're going to want to ask questions if you're just focused on the rational.
Well, he's a creative mind that really likes to leave stuff up for interpretation, I think. In the Japanese world especially, they like the mystery of it, but at the end they're not left with any kind of, oh, I see. They're kind of like, wait, what did I just watch? But I think in the West, that's what made the movie so popular here, is that whole idea of like, what did I just watch? It's really intriguing, to where you'll watch it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, trying to, see what new stuff you discover every time. I don't know about you, but every time I rewatch the movie, I'm like, hey, I didn't notice that before.
Well, every time I rewatch the movie, I try and appreciate all the different details in animation and backgrounds. But yeah, certainly I do catch some little tidbits of information that I may have overlooked or forgotten.
I will say, if you're like me and you came from Standalone Complex first, you already had this, like, image of the character of Motoko Kusanagi, and then you go to the movie where she's completely different. She is not, I'm not going to say she's nothing like, but she's literally a different person from Standalone Complex. She still retains that same kind of commanding vibe, but she's, I don't know, she seems more human to me in this movie than Machine.
Well, let's say in the manga, She's already self-assured. She knows what she is. She's extremely confident in her power, her beauty, her authority. And in Standalone Complex, which is a middle ground between the movie and the manga, she is still a person of full power and confidence, but is susceptible to human flaws, human worries, and human questions about existence. But it takes that to an extreme in the movie, in which she is practically a victim of her own questioning.
Yeah.
Of her own situation, in which she is always questioning the nature of her existence, what she is, where she came from. It's something that keeps nagging at her until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess cyborgs like myself have a tendency to be paranoid about our origins.
It's not something you really find in any other adaptation.
Right.
Not sure about the 2017 live-action film, though, but...
Oh, that thing's... The story's quite different, I think. They try to keep that same, like, identity crisis in. I think they tried to copy the essence of her character from the animated movie to transfer it over into live action, and it just didn't work very well.
No, there's a problem with adapting stories, but let's save that for the 2017 movie discussion another time.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite scenes in the movie?
I'm going to say my favorite, but it's just going to make me sound like a perv.
Oh. Is it when she gets naked?
Of course. If you want to ask my top favorite, it's when she fights the tank.
Oh yeah, I think that's everybody's favorite.
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite. I also wanted to mention the tank fight because of the upcoming luxury statue that's being produced by, I believe their name is Prime One, by Prime One Figures.
Yeah. The really super detailed one where she rips her arms off.
Oh, yeah.
On top of the
Let me
tank.
just look it up right now. Prime One Studio, the company that makes all those super detailed luxury statues, which I believe are top of the line for collectors, among the most elite statue production studios for collectors, that is. And I've always wanted a figure depicting the scene where she destroys her own body in desperation from trying to open the tank hatch, because rationally a person of her abilities would probably not do that, but she was pursuing the puppet master, which was being protected by that tank, and so she needed to destroy or disable that tank by any means necessary. And in the desperation of the situation, she just subjected herself to that humiliating defeat. I mean, it is a showcase of her own power and confidence, but it was overwhelmed by the desperation and irrationality. I mean, Batou was there to save the day, of course, and Batou's relationship with the Major is an entire topic unto itself. But yes, like we said before, there's so many layers to it. There's the beautiful animation, the character of the Major and her obsession with finding answers and doing whatever it takes to get those answers, to remove the obstacles to those answers, even if it meant risking her own destruction. There's Batou and his relationship to the Major and his desperation to protect her, which is different from any other comrade's need to protect their own. And there's the exposure of her body, which is revealed to be pure machine inside, that the beauty is really skin deep, and underneath is an extremely well-crafted, functional, and ultra-powered machine that imitates human life. So yes, I believe that is my favorite scene of the entire movie. Let's see what else. I believe there has already been at least one fan-made depiction of that scene through a 3D print that they've shared in the subreddit and on Instagram. Maybe I should just put a shout out here after the fact to whoever the artist is. Just edit that in later. The name of the artist is nuart.props. That's NUART.props at Instagram. They are a 3D print artist, and in 2023 they printed and painted their own custom version of the Major pulling the hatch off the tank and breaking her limbs, which is, I believe, the most dedicated fan-made rendition of the scene before the official figure was recently announced. I have always really dreamed of a depiction of that scene that actually includes the flying debris.
Isn't it like over $1,000?
Oh yeah, it's about over $1,000 if you buy the entire thing with the with the extra base, with the tank and the bonus tank arms. But if you're talking about affording it, money is probably not going to be the first problem. It's going to be space. Yeah. It's a huge base. It's not going to fit on a conventional bookshelf.
Well, hey, at least they're trying to be true to life, true to the what the actual scale would be.
Yeah, but well, it is a beautiful base. They actually did their work. I noticed because, as a side note, I did go see the film again in a theater the other night. I noticed that during the tank fight, the Major actually manages to damage one of the turrets, and that turret no longer functions afterwards, as far as I recall. Only one of them was used to try shooting at her. The figure reflects that, in which one of the turrets is all shut up.
That's
so
cool.
That's a very, very nice attention to detail there.
Yep. I'd have to say my favorite scene is probably the scene at the very end.
Oh, when she's in the child body and she's overlooking the entire cityscape?
Yes. I don't know why, but it's before that. It's right after the fight and the camera angles and everything. So, like, what you're looking at in that next scene is a mirror reflection. Everything's mirrored. And then when it...
right, when she's sitting down and waking up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how that scene is done. How it starts out mirrored, and then when the camera zooms in right on her face, then quickly everything's mirrored back to where it's, she's looking at you versus you're looking at her through the mirror.
That scene was always confusing to me at first during the first few watches. Then I realized, no, she's just focusing on a mirror in the background.
Lots of people thought it was creepy at first. They were like, what the hell?
Mamoru Oshii is known for his cinema tricks, his shift in mood, and sometimes the camera focuses on a character's face a little too long, in this film at least. And perhaps it is one of the creepiest scenes in the whole movie, where the camera just lingers on her inanimate face for a few seconds too long. You're wondering, when is it going to stop?
Yeah.
It's like an extra 3 seconds and already you're being creeped out until the scene shifts to right in front of her as she wakes up, and then it stops being creepy and it becomes a little cute.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite one, and it's just because of the camera work and the conversation that they have, her and Batou have, where she's just like, what? Why did you put me in this body? Hey, it's the only thing I could get off the black market. Or how she doesn't steal his car, I don't think. He tells her that the keys are in the pocket of the jacket that he puts on her or something, and he tells her the passcode, and because she leaves after this. I think another reason why I like that scene so much too is because it leads basically directly into the second movie.
Right. I wouldn't say directly, but if someone were to watch the second movie straight afterwards, yeah, they would definitely understand. It's a smooth flow.
I mean, that's what I did. When I found out there was a second movie, I was like, oh, I'm gonna order this.
Oh yeah, you just have to assume there's a time skip, that's all.
Well, there is, yeah, but I mean, in the second movie, you never see her in her adult body again. You just see the child one that was left off at the end of the movie.
That's another little thing I wanted to mention. I don't think we ever see an animated depiction of her adult body ever again after the 1995 film.
Yeah, we don't.
We might see it in marketing. We might see it in some alternate illustrations for some art books, but we never have ever seen her original adult body from the 1995 film ever again.
Yeah. And that might be another point of symbolism.
Right. It might be their way of saying goodbye to the old Motoko Kusanagi we hardly ever knew ye.
Well, and this is the part where we could talk for a long time, because the part where she fuses with the puppet master is a huge topic on Reddit, because everybody wants to try to figure out, like, did she die? But I was just gonna say, like, the thing with Motoko and the not puppeteer. Dang it, I knew I was gonna do that. Puppet master.
We gotta say puppeteer for the manga.
God.
Puppet master for the film.
Well, no, because
At least
puppeteer
that's
is
how
used in the standalone complex film as well.
You're right, it gets confusing.
Dang it.
Let's just keep it one medium at a time.
Yeah. Well, I knew I was going to do this.
We can keep that in.
When she fuses with the puppet master and becomes an entirely new being, but also not, everybody wants to talk about that. They want to know, like, did she actually die? Did the puppet master guy die? Did they really fuse? Again, Mamoru Oshii hasn't really said explicitly what happens. Again, he leaves it up to interpretation.
Because I am now neither the woman who was known as the Major, nor am I the program called the Puppet Master.
And we're just talking about the 1995 movie. When we get to Innocence, which is the second movie after this, you want to talk about metaphors and allegories and imagery. It's everywhere. That movie is all over the place. But with here, like, before her head gets shot off, she looks up and sees the white feathers, and then sees the silhouette of what you could assume to be God, right?
Right, although, personally, I think it's more symbolism.
It's absolutely, yeah, imagery and symbolism, yeah. That's what this franchise is, like, it never spells anything out for you. If the characters don't tell the story, the images will. There's a ton of it. Especially when you get into, I think it's only Standalone Complex that does the whole book symbolism thing. But
oh, you mean with Catcher in the Rye?
Yeah, Catcher in the Rye, and then later on they did it again with 1984.
Right. Oh, much later on, I guess.
Yeah. But in Ghost in the Shell 1995, it's just kind of a, who am I? What was I made for? Kind of thing, trope.
It feels like Oshii is taking the franchise and using it as a vehicle for his own philosophical ponderings, which works out in the end.
Well, I mean, he's not the first one to do that.
And the second one is a bit too much for some people to chew on, but it really does take some effort and just listening, watching, understanding.
Lots of people don't like Innocence. They call the 1995 film a masterpiece, and, like, that's it.
Well, Innocence is slept on. It is seriously
It really
slept
is.
on.
It really is. We're gonna try to keep these topics to, like, only one thing at a time. The 1995 movie and Innocence are both kind of, it's the same continuity universe, just a time skip. It's not that you can't have one without the other. Like I said, a lot of people just stick to the 1995 film and they don't even bother with Innocence. Because a lot of people didn't like it, according to Reddit.
And, well, I have seen Innocence, I believe. I've seen it at least once in the theater. It was during a screening at a museum in New York, and perhaps another time. Oh yes, I did see it at the Japan Society during a double screening, which is, I think it was the commemoration of the 4K version of Innocence.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I really enjoy watching Innocence in a theater. I don't care that it's not up to par compared with the 1995 film. I don't care if it waxes philosophical a bit too much. It's still a beautiful film. It's still a beautiful plot. It still works. It still serves to adapt stories from the manga, just like the first film does. It's a valid sequel.
I actually, I'm gonna, everybody grab your pitchforks. I prefer Innocence to the 1995 film. I like both of them, but I like to watch Innocence more than I do the 1995 one. Just like with Standalone Complex's film, I like to watch that one a lot. And the reason why is because Motoko is not there.
You planning to start a war or something?
That is an interesting reason because Ghost in the Shell is most associated with Motoko Kusanagi, but there are clearly a diverse bunch of characters in it, and most of them are not really focused on because they're more like supporting characters. But if you must name the most important Ghost in the Shell character besides the Major, it would be Batou. And any story with Batou is sure to be a good one. I recently watched an episode from Standalone Complex that was
is it the boxer one?
On the YouTube. Sorry?
Was it the boxer one?
Yeah, I recently watched the episode of Standalone Complex. I believe it was about how he met an old hero of his, a Paralympic athlete champion who turned terrorist because of what was it about? Failing to achieve gold?
Yeah,
It was about Batou witnessing a hero's downfall when his hero turned to crime.
Yeah.
After failing in his constant achievement of getting gold in the Olympics.
He's investigating the boxer guy, because he's suspected of being a spy. So
that's right.
He's going there to gather evidence and trying to figure out what's going on.
But Batou shows off his humanity, which is very warm compared to Motoko's. And he, not only is he doing a good job infiltrating the guy's life and pretending to be someone he's not, he's also genuinely enjoying it and genuinely investing in the guy's life and feeling extremely betrayed and bitter, finding out why the guy does what he does.
Yeah.
When he finally challenges him to a fight, it's more like taking out his frustrations on someone who betrayed him, who betrayed his beliefs and principles. In the end, he's just letting out all his rage on a punching bag, and you can actually taste the bitterness. You'll never feel something like that in an episode about the Major.
The thing with with Innocence is it primarily does focus on Batou, because the main part of his character for this movie is it's after the 1995 one where Motoko leaves, and he's left knowing she's probably never going to come back, right?
Knowing Oshii, it wouldn't be the same Batou as Standalone Complex.
That, like I said, the movies are their own continuity. So, like, if you watch Standalone, yeah.
Just wanted to put that forward. This Batou is very emotionally subdued. He is not as excitable or passionate as the one in the TV film. So the film Innocence matches its predecessor in terms of attitude.
But Innocence, just for me, it pulled me in. Like, it grabbed me by my shirt and was like, yoink! Because the very first scene is with Batou, and it's kind of a jump scare scene where the geisha robot thing attacks him and all that stuff.
The gynoid.
Yeah. Also, my cat's in the room, so he's going to probably make noise.
He's always welcome to chime in.
Yeah, he's always in my life, ruining my work all the time. But, so I really liked Innocence a lot more because now you don't have Motoko anymore. You have the remaining members of Section 9, where it primarily is just a focus on Batou, Togusa, and Aramaki.
And that's right, Togusa. Togusa's always...
Everybody always forgets about Togusa in the movies. Togusa, like, that's a really good scene, too, in the 1995 movie, when he asks her, like, why'd you pick me? And she basically says in not so few words, well... we're all cyborgs, or mostly cyborgs, and you're the only humans, so we need the uniqueness of you.
That could be a low blow, but no, it was said with full sincerity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I like how in versus Standalone Complex, where she does have similar scenes where she has talks with him, and in the 1995 movie, she's straight to the point, but she's not a jerk about it. She just tells it like it is.
She's very pragmatic.
Yeah. But like with Innocence, you don't have her presence anymore. And of course, Batou is the character that has the most problem with that. Aramaki asks Togusa, what do you think? And Togusa thinks he's talking about the mission briefing they just got. And he's like, no, about Batou. And he says he's starting to remind me of how the Major was before she left.
Which is Aramaki's not-so-subtle way of saying Batou is in danger of leaving us.
I don't know if that's it.
Well, that was my first impression of it.
Yeah. I think he just means, like, maybe he's becoming a little bit unstable, which is true. Batou is unstable throughout many parts of the movie.
He shot up the Yakuza when there was absolutely
that
no
part
need to.
Was hilarious.
He's a murderer.
Oh, man. Like, in the 1995 Ghost in the Shell, I really only have one favorite scene. In Innocence, I have so many favorite scenes.
there's a lot of humor in Innocence, if you know where to look.
Yeah.
But you said you would avoid shooting.
I did avoid shooting, as much as possible.
And I know we're supposed to only talk about the 1995 movie, but like in Innocence, there's a specific scene that, again, I really love the way it's directed, the way the camera moves, and the way the use of color is implemented. I'm gonna take a guess. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. Would it be the mansion scene? No. Exploring the hallways of the mansion? No. All right. It's the convenience store scene. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of interesting... The thing is, Innocence does this thing where it has a lot of these scenes, actually, where the characters don't speak at all. There's no dialogue. And so the audience has to rely on what's going on in the scene that's not verbalized. So, like, camera angles, color changes, whether something's blurred in the background or sharpened to where it's in focus. Because right before Batou goes into the convenience store to get his dog's food, you see the little car. I think he's either with Togusa
Ishikawa.
Or is he with Ishikawa? I can't remember. It was Togusa. He was with Togusa, not Ishikawa. Well, anyway, when they sit there, the little check thingy on the car goes on, and it's basically checking to see if they've been followed or if there's any suspicious people around. It does it every single time. Mm-hmm. Right? And you see it say all clear. So then you're thinking, oh, okay, there's no danger. There's no reason why there would be any danger. He's about to walk into a convenience store. But why bother showing the convenience store in the first place? He's just going to get food. It's something really normal, but it seems so ominous. You know something's going to happen. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. If you're not paying attention, you really don't know something's going to happen, but the movie gives you, like, huge hints. The first hint is it changes from 2D to 3D in some parts. As soon as he enters the convenience store, you get a 3D shot of the little chime bell when the door opens. Also, the color changes. You don't notice it until the very end of the scene, but the color changes the second he walks in. And that's the movie's way of showing you the difference between reality and not. It's something that can be manipulated using the medium of film, yeah. But it's probably also a reflection of how the characters perceive the world, yeah. even if they're not aware of the visible changes in their perception, hence the color change. What I love is how quiet it gets. Like, you can hear a pin drop. It's so quiet. And it follows him going into the convenience store, walking around. And this is the first time ever, I think, we see a POV of what Batou's eyes actually see, which is really cool. There's only one line of dialogue, and it's from the Major. I'm pretty sure it's the Major. Everyone is 99% sure that that's the Major, and I believe it's confirmed that it's her voice actress who spoke that line. Yeah, well, I think in the Japanese it is. In the English, because her voice actress changes from Mimi Woods to Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, people were confused. They were like, well, maybe it's not the Major, her voice is different. No, that is, they just changed the voice actor. But, yeah, there's only one spot of dialogue. and it just says, "You've stepped inside the kill zone."
You've stepped inside the kill zone.
So, right there, you get one piece of dialogue, but then if that really is the Major, is she the bad guy? Because then you see Batou shooting at all these people who apparently shot at him first, and he runs toward the owner, about to blow his head off, and then all of a sudden, the color changes.
And Ishikawa appears from behind, having disabled Batou physically using the port on his back and one of those little plug devices.
Yeah. And then it's explained later that, he was basically, ow, cat claws. Hi. Hi, could you not stab me? Thank you. That he was in a weird drugged-like state.
What do they call it? It wasn't a brain hack, was it? It was...
Oh, I don't remember.
Is the term brain dance, or am I confusing the term brain dance with something from William Gibson?
No, I'm pretty sure he was hacked. Because Ishikawa gave him warnings from the beginning of the movie onward. Hey, you should switch up your dog's food. Hey, you should go to a different store.
Hey, you should not make yourself such a target with a predictable pattern.
Yeah, exactly. And Batou's like, but she only eats this one food, and that store is the only place that carries it. So, it was foreshadowed several times. Ishikawa told him at least twice.
Why are we discussing Innocence again? I mean, it's such a good topic, but still, I think...
Because it just goes back to, we were talking about how Batou is, if you took Motoko out of the equation, Batou is probably the next important character.
Yeah, that's right. The whole grocery store scene cannot be done without Batou having an explicit connection to his own humanity. It's because of his dog that he's there. It's because that he wants to feel emotion, attachment to living things, that he's there. If he were a cold, rational cop like the Major, that wouldn't happen at all.
If she was physically present in that movie, I think that scene would have either not happened at all, or it would have gone a whole lot differently. Yeah.
The Major was probably off in the ether, trying to stop international political terror incidents, and just took 5 minutes to warn Batou of that little incident right there.
And I think that's why I really like Innocence over the 1995, because Motoko is always there. When she's not, you have no idea where she is or when she's going to pop up next. I like that sense of mystery.
And it's a good film with the characters. It treats its characters well. It doesn't go, oh, whenever Motoko is not in the scene, the character should be asking, where's Motoko?
Yeah, basically every character has their own purpose. When Togusa's alone in the car and he sees the two security guys' cars there, and he's using the computer to scan the weight and trying to figure out what's going on.
That was a genius scene.
It really was.
That is just showcasing our boy Togusa and how good he is at his job.
And that's the thing, is Togusa has experience that they don't. He's a human that can notice things that they might not.
The two of them together couldn't weigh over 1,000 pounds.
Ah, you checked the pressure sensors in the parking structure, didn't you?
Aramaki also, when he's talking with some other political guy in front of the puppet master, and...
Oh, with Nakamura?
Oh yeah, with Nakamura, and they're, and they get attacked. I like how he is no nonsense, we're gonna get this done, don't let this thing escape, blah 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 blah. Where the hell is the Major,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aramaki is all business 24/7.
He's a genius though.
That must be how he got bald. All the hair loss from all the stress of trying to be a well-oiled machine while still being a human being.
Yeah. And in the 1995 movie, too, Batou's really laid back compared to his standalone complex counterpart. Oh, speaking of, I think we talked about this before, but in the scene where he saves her from the tank, he has a giant gun. A big gun.
Mm-hmm.
In the English dub of the film,
he said, "Your standard issue big gun."
Yeah. In the behind the scenes, they talked about how they didn't think that the Japanese sound effect for the big gun was big enough.
This is something I may have overlooked. Did they change the audio for the dub?
Yes.
Just for the sound effect?
Yes. And I gotta say, the way they did it was really dirty. Like, I did not appreciate how they did it at all. So, they went to the Japanese crew and they said, hey, we're going to change the gun sound effect because it's not big enough. And the Japanese crew said, no, please don't. And they said, well, if you won't let us, then we're just going to quit.
Oh, wow.
And they threatened them and said, yeah, we'll just quit. And of course, the Japanese crew is like, no, please stay. Okay, fine, you can change the sound. Now...
So... There is no way we hear the original audio sound?
In the Japanese, you do. If you switch it to Japanese audio, you can hear the difference in sound.
Alright, so it's the voice combined with the...
It's
with all the
the
audio
sound
that makes up the
engineering
entire
for the English dub, the sound engineers, probably the same ones that do the mixing for the English voices, wanted to change the gun sound to make it sound more... Because... they put that American joke, just your standard issue big gun, in there. Yeah. And so they said that if they didn't have the big gun sound effect, then the joke would fall flat, is what they said.
I wonder what other changes they made.
Me too, actually. And like, that's the thing, is like, as a translator myself, when we are told to translate something, when we sign our NDAs and all that stuff, one of the rules that we have to follow is you are not allowed to change anything about the original work. Nothing. It is not your place. So the fact that they made a big fuss and threatened to quit over not getting one little sound effect is just really disrespectful, and I hate it.
Would you attribute this to early standards in that sort of business?
I mean, it was the
or
90s.
Lack thereof.
It was the 90s, so I think they had, like, the upper hand with, that kind of stuff. I just don't understand why they made such a big fuss over changing the sound effect to quote-unquote match the joke.
I think they just wanted to market this movie as some sort of action fest when
Probably.
it clearly wasn't. So they wanted to just exploit every action scene for as much as they could.
Yeah. So, if you're watching the Ghost in the Shell movie, listen for the big gun. I mean, it's not a huge change, but it's definitely different than the Japanese sound effects for that particular scene.
I think I'm just going to use this as an excuse to rewatch the movie and compare the English to the Japanese dub every 2 minutes.
You know what I did? I found a Laserdisc copy of the movie where it has the Japanese version on one side and the English dub version with Japanese subtitles on the other.
Interesting.
I thought that was really unique. Because,
I have about, well, I don't know, maybe 10 copies of the movie in different formats, different editions, but not a Laserdisc.
That's justified.
It is my favorite film.
Is there anything else about the movie you want to talk about before we wrap it up? We got about 10 minutes.
Right, let's see.
I know we spent like a good 10 minutes talking about Innocence, but I feel like it's justifiable.
I think this is a good first episode so far, with Innocence, its relationship with the film, your cat guest starring in that one scene.
Yeah.
I just recently watched the film in theaters I mentioned, but it was with I believe the British subtitles, because they describe the guy from the shootout in the middle of the movie, the guy from the marketplace that was being ghost hacked by the puppet master, and who also ghost hacked the garbage man in return. The guy that they were pursuing and that Major ended up fighting.
Oh, and then like
the pool area
and like disabled one of his arms. Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Corgi. That's his actual name. The character's actual name in the film is Corgi.
How original!
Yeah, and the subtitle described him as a yabo.
That's hilarious. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure that character's name is not a coincidence. Oshii is a huge dog lover, right? You don't really find that out until Innocence, but he's a huge dog lover, so it would make sense that he would name a character after a dog breed.
His nickname's Corgi. Occupation? Well, let's call him a rather violent trader in questionable goods. Your basic thug.
You do see the Basset Hound in at least 2 scenes in the film. The montage after that scene where Major is just exploring the city and probably exploring the city in first person, at least for the audience. And also in the scene where they're interviewing the garbage man and they show off his apartment, there's an image of a dog in his photograph, and there's the dog food commercial on the TV in his apartment.
Yep.
So back to what I mentioned, they call Corgi a yabo, which is a British slang for a very, as far as I read, an unscrupulous or criminal type of person.
That's really interesting.
Just saying he's a punk.
Yeah.
He's just a street punk and
Was it
nothing
an
more.
official sub or a fan sub?
Well, I'm assuming it's official because it was in a theater.
Oh.
So it must be, you're the translator here, so I wanted to ask your opinion, or rather your knowledge. How many subs are there for the Ghost in the Shell 1995 film? From what I saw, there might be at least 2. At least one of them is British, since Manga UK is still technically the owner of distribution rights.
So nowadays, when we translate, we primarily use American English, unless we're told otherwise. But back in the 90s and 2000s, it was common to have regional subtitles. So like one's for the UK, one's for the States, one's for Australia. That's incredibly interesting, though, that there would be a separate screening of a movie with the UK subtitles for UK, for people that are from the UK.
I wouldn't know the inner workings of how movies
Do you
are
know,
distributed.
did you check your DVD for the English dub to see what was written there?
I haven't. I should do that for the next episode.
Yeah, that'd be good. Or
Just
I could,
do
I
a
might
little
go
homework.
and look at it here in a bit. Because normally you wouldn't, unless you know it's for a UK specific audience, you would never put UK slang in there unless like the character actually used the word in Japanese or something.
Right.
And then you'd have to explain what it is. So, because that's the issue, is that you have to explain what it is.
Right. They can't even just put one of those classic fan sub definitions that appear for a brief
Can't
second.
do that. Can't do that. No track B allowed on there. But
Subbing has gone a long way.
yeah, it really has. So the fact that, and you saw this in the States, right?
This was right here in New York City, so
Very
it was
interesting.
in an official theater, in an official movie program in which they're having a cyberpunk schedule, a schedule of cyberpunk films, including Matrix and Blade Runner.
That's really interesting. See, now I'm probably going to have to be like, I'm going to go find the UK version of this movie, just so I can get the specific subtitles. But yeah, I don't really think it's something they do anymore, especially with things like Netflix and Hulu. It might be up to the client, but most of the time we are told to use American English.
I think this little discussion of the subtitles is going to be a bit enlightening for any listener out there who's interested in the nature of subtitling, because there is so much debate out there. Frankly, I'm not really invested in that debate. I just don't want to waste my time with it. I don't think I'd call it a debate. I think I'd just call it Twitter fights.
Well, and you know, there are tons of people that don't even watch the sub. They watch dub all the time, so no one ever looks at the subtitles. Like,
Well, as someone who's not particularly fluent in Japanese, of course I need the subtitles, and I appreciate the work of the translators who try and be as accurate as possible and don't go off rails. I'm thinking of, for example, for a good example, let's say, the first Metal Gear Solid game, which was translated into English by Jeremy Blaustein, who did a really good job in localizing it, but he changed a lot of stuff. He changed a lot of technical dialogue to something akin to slang or just casual speak, which would appeal more to an American ear.
Oh, yeah!
But it definitely wasn't the original writing. And as a result, Hideo Kojima, the director of the Metal Gear series, I think he swore never to rely on a localizer like that again, and just relied on direct translations, no matter how odd they would seem to a foreign listener.
This was the first Metal Gear Solid game?
The first one.
Oh man, that's my favorite one.
For example, I think in one of the first scenes, Snake is spying on soldiers from afar, and he's supposed to say something like, "Oh, they're carrying assault rifles and grenades." But in the English version, he says, "Oh, they're carrying 5.56ers and pineapples." That kind of line I always remember. I remember that as a kid from playing the demo of the game because it's such a cool little line.
I mean, I just thought that sounds cool because, I mean, he's military, so, I mean, just terminology. But yeah, I can see why Kojima would have hated it. But no, you reminded me. You reminded me because that same thing happened with one of the first scenes in the Ghost in the Shell film where Batou says, "You're really noisy." And in English...
Oh, that's right, the
she says
line.
It must be a loose wire, and in Japanese she says, "I'm on my period."
I'm surprised you can hear anything. What's with all the noise in your brain today?
Must be a loose wire.
Okay, that cements it. The subtitles that I read in the movie that I saw, in the recent screening that I saw, those were more accurate because it clearly said she was on her period.
Yeah.
But I do remember in English she says, "Must be a loose wire."
My guess is the reason why they did not direct translate that is because it might work in Japanese culturally, but if you did that in English, people would be really confused. They'd be like, "What does that have to do with her having noise in her head?"
Isn't the intended meaning that she has no period because she doesn't have any functional female system down there?
So that's why it would be confusing, because people wouldn't make the connection, and then they'd be like, "Wait a minute, if she's a machine, then why would you even say that?"
Yeah,
but in Japan, when a woman is on her period, like they talk about how her thoughts are all muddled sometimes, like, you know, difference of culture, right?
Alright, so it's a culture thing.
Yeah, so that's why they changed it, because otherwise it wouldn't have made any sense to us.
Maybe it's also this meaning, but I thought it was because she is a machine, she has a machine body, but her human brain still follows human patterns and would still follow the phantom of having a period and her menstrual cycle. So there will be some weird confusion in her brain that leads to weird signals that a person can read.
I mean, could be, but I think you might be overthinking it a little.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, anyway. But because you were talking about localization differences, that you reminded me of that scene where everyone's just like, "Why does she say that?" The "must be a loose wire" also works because right after that she rips the wires out of the back of her neck. So sometimes we have to do that, where... And, you know, you sometimes will get, like, diehard fans that are like, "You need to keep it, you know, with the Japanese." Well, most of the time we try. But when they're writing the ADR script, sometimes if it doesn't work with the scene, they have to change it entirely. It's the same, like, if a character repeats something over and over again, they're not going to keep that the same in the ADR script because it does not work in the scene the same way that it does in Japanese. So they add extra dialogue that the character does not originally say, but it matches the mouth movements. They add that in to keep the tension of the scene flowing. And because if you have a character that just repeats the same thing 2 or 3 times, it takes away from all the tension in the scene.
Right. Localization is an art.
It really is.
It's more of an art than a science. You can never translate directly 100%.
And also the whole I'm on my period part would really fall flat. It would take away from, like, the whole scene entirely. So Must Be a Loose Wire keeps the scene flowing, and it also matches what she's doing in the scene. So, yeah. A lot of people were just like, why did she say that? She should have just said what she said in the Japanese, you know. I'm trying to think of another example. I think the boat scene is a little bit different. Most of the lines are intact, but I think maybe the way she says some things is a little bit different.
Which one? Which line specifically?
I'm trying to think. So in the boat scene, he's kind of, he's not mad, but he's just like, you're crazy.
Batou.
Yeah.
Batou and the Major on the boat.
Batou's telling her she's crazy because she goes diving even though she knows that something could go wrong and she could sink. And then out of the blue, she says, how much of your body is original? It's been forever since I've seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure there's a little bit of a line difference. But they do that a lot, especially since this is in the 90s. You know, it's not going to be like it is today where stuff is more modern, technology is advanced, blah, 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 all that stuff. I believe they had one native Japanese that they used as a consult when they were doing the ADR script writing.
There was barely an effort to try and be faithful. They were just following what fit their instincts to localize back then.
Yeah, like, I think that's part of what makes the movie so good. So back in, like, the 90s, it was about localization, and at times it involved almost completely changing the original work. A good example is the Ghibli films. Kiki, Totoro, all that stuff. Miyazaki was adamant. I think Totoro got butchered by, what was it, Fox? The first dub they did for Kiki and Totoro got, like, completely butchered.
I wonder how much of that... I'm wondering how much of that happened before that supposed incident. I don't know if this is real because I read it somewhere in which... Was it Harvey Weinstein who wanted to do cuts to Princess Mononoke? And Miyazaki sent him a katana in the mail with a message ordering him not to cut anything? Was that real?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. But what saved the Ghibli franchise for English-speaking folks is John Lasseter made besties with Miyazaki. Mm-hmm. And was like, please let us do Spirited Away. I swear to God, we won't kill it. We're going to be super faithful. You're going to see everything we do. You can police everything we do. And it did not get released until Miyazaki poured through it and was like, fine, okay, this is good. I don't know if Oshii did the same thing with Ghost in the Shell, but the times were different back then.
There's another topic we should discuss in the future. Whatever happened with the DreamWorks release of Innocence and what caused them to release a second version of the DVD and the dub.
Yeah.
That's something that I still have to look into. I think I may have listened to both versions, but maybe I wasn't aware of the difference. So I have to listen to both versions.
I don't know
what the issue was. There was something there. There was an incident.
Well, you know, it's not like how Ghost Stories was, where they're like, here, save our anime series. We don't care what you do. Just don't change the original story or the characters' names. When they wrote that ADR script, their only, like, focus was to match mouth flaps. That was it.
Right.
So, you know, but it's very rare that a client will come to you and be like, do whatever you want, except don't do this and this and this. They're usually really, really strict with, like, what you do and what you change. Like, when I used to translate smut manga, the client would tell me, no, I want it to sound like this, and the sentence was completely, entirely grammatically incorrect, and it looked horrible. And I was like, but that's not grammatically correct. And they're like, well, we want it like this. Okay, if that's what you want, you know.
Well, they're the client.
You can't really argue with the client, so... The fact that the English dub of the 1995 film, they kind of just did what they wanted, in a sense. Like, it's like with the big gun sound effect. Like, if the Japanese crew noticed something and said, hey, maybe could you not do this? They were basically told by the English staff, no, we're gonna leave it.
Maybe, we've talked long enough about the film for now.
Dang it. See, that's the thing, is we could talk forever about it.
Yeah, it's true. We have to pace ourselves. Let's say it's been roughly an hour.
Yeah.
With edits.
Yeah.
Since there's a lot we have to edit out anyway.
So, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna shelve 1995 for now. What are we gonna talk about next? Innocence? For next time?
We could talk about Innocence.
I mean, we kind of already did, but it's basically gonna be the same kind of episode with 1995, except just with Innocence.
And we can always go back to these movies again for some other topic of discussion.
Well, that's the thing is about, like, with both of the movies, like, they're kind of all one movie. You can jump back and forth between them. But like I said, there are people who are like, no, 1995 and that's it. No Innocence. Boo, you know? So
those people are missing out.
Innocence has a lot to unpack though, because it's really philosophical, and like the whole message of the film is different than Ghost in the Shell 1995. So, all right.
Yeah. Just like I said, I'm gonna have to do a rewatch of both versions of the Innocence English version.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But it's just the English version, not the Japanese version. Although I think the subtitles are also a key part of it.
Yep. But yeah, that's it. So we will see you guys in the next episode.
Oh yeah, just stay tuned for all you diehard Ghost in the Shell fans who want every little tidbit of fan-made content. We really appreciate your listening to us.
I really doubt we offer every tidbit though.
I don't think we will.
Nah.
It's all just for fun. I got friends who have done podcasts and they take it. They enjoy it. They can take things seriously, but we're not going to go too far.
Yeah, we're not that serial.
With how serious
it's not that
it can
serial,
go.
guys.
We got the movies, we got the TV series, we got the spin-offs, the games, the novels, the short stories. There's a lot to go over.
We have content for days.
That is underrated.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right then. We'll wrap it up and see you guys next time.
Bye.